Welcome to World War III.
Come on, man. It's a state of stupidity.
It's a state of stupidity.
State of stupidity.
That's just a state of stupidity.
State of stupidity.
I believe it's a state of stupidity.
They want you to believe it's a state of stupidity.
I told him. I said it's a state of stupidity.
And back to the state of stupidity. It seems that things just keep getting more and more intense all around us. And I have of the mind that this is all bullshit and propaganda. We're definitely going to talk through it and wade through it. When they start screaming at the top of their lungs that this is this and this is that, it's usually time to take a breath and see what they're really trying to say. Jay, what's going on in Israel?
I have no idea. I mean, it's the problem is you can't believe half the stuff you hear. That's the problem, or see.
And it doesn't make any sense with the shit that we've been told up until this point.
No, because they had back when the Ukraine got bombed. I think it was last week or a week before.
Yeah.
And they showed you the footage literally a few hours later, and the fucking buildings were all cleaned up and moved. All the piles of shit were moved from here to there. It's like, there's no way that happened just this morning.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you got in there that quick? You cleaned all the debris, looked for survivors, and moved all the shit, from one end to the other. It doesn't even make sense. So, I mean, how do we know that? We don't even truly know what's going on.
Exactly. And the thing is that the day before the Israel attack happened, I had seen a video that I just sort of swiped and didn't think anything of because it was our politicians. One of them was in Congress or somewhere in one of those buildings where there's seats all around that are empty behind him, spouting off about how there was going to be some propaganda coming out from Russian outlets about a place being bombed, and it was going to be so horrible, but it was all going to be a lie, and this, that, and the third. And then I shit you not, within 24 hours of seeing that, all of a sudden, our own media is doing just what was being described. Now, I'm not saying that attacks didn't happen, but it's already coming out that they were using past footage of bombings in this media push. They were using footage from other attacks, or just this Egyptian music festival is a big one. There's a lot. It's gone viral where there's these paragliders coming in to what looks like a music fest that's supposedly happening in Israel on that Saturday. Turns out it was a few months ago at a Egyptian military graduation ceremony. And so they're conflating.
Do they have that? You have that footage?
Yes, I do have. I have the TikTok that shows the footage of it. And there is people who have broken down where you can clearly tell that now, to us Americans who aren't privy to seeing all of the architecture and stuff, it's pretty easy to get one over on us when it comes to showing us some sand and some buildings and telling us, oh, it's this place or oh, it's that place. We're going to believe it, especially with what they did to us with 9/11. They have us so wound tight when it comes to Middle East affairs.
CNN got busted over there in Israel.
You showed me that one.
Yeah, where they were talking them through how to pretend they were near the
hot
bombings.
Mic.
Yeah, they got hit on the hot mic. But, not even that. Like when we were back, when we invaded Iraq, this last time, I don't know if it was CNN or ABC or NBC, whichever one of them. They actually took video footage of night fire from a machine gun shoot in Kentucky, and said that was night fire in Iraq. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
how everybody wants to get footage out immediately, and they don't even put the right shit out, and they make shit up as they go.
Exactly.
So.
And especially when there's not the attacks that they expected to happening.
Well, what I think is crazy, though, about the whole thing is, like you said, were there attacks? Yeah, possibly, more than likely. But how were all these people, these Palestinians in the United States, holding all these protests?
Within hours.
Within hours, exactly. And then you have that Congresswoman, Rashid Tlaib, has the Pakistani flag outside her office.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the hell is going on here. It's crazy. And then you have the Black Lives Matter. You see what they did?
Yeah.
So they're not they're backing a terrorist group,
right?
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it is to the innocent people out there. That's the people that need to be the spotlight needs to be on them, not these terrorist groups, not these politicians.
Exactly.
The actual people losing their lives, being affected by this.
I mean, they're already the Palestinian. I don't know. It's their lead. I don't know what their leader's called. But he was just on the news.
See, there you're conflating it. There's a difference between Palestine and Hamas.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
Hamas is the terrorist organization.
But the Palestinian leaders going on TV now saying that Israel should back off from the war.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be doing anything to Hamas. It's like, well, what do you think's going to happen?
Right.
What do you expect them to do? They're not just going to take, like you said, there's young kids and women these innocent people that are they're the ones taking the brunt of it.
Well, but this is, and now it's all by design.
Oh yeah.
Israel left the people in. They let the enemy combatants come through. Israel is
We're doing the same thing at the southern border.
Exactly, but Israel is known for having a defense that is so powerful that they were supposed to be able to tell if a cockroach is coming to their area.
They have sensors. They've updated those security fences. They have tower. I mean, they have everything.
There's no way that something of this scale happens without it being allowed to happen to cause a reaction.
Because we have so much intelligence, it's ridiculous. I mean, they know everything that's going on. You're going to tell me that they've been saying they've been planning this a year and we didn't know anything about it?
They have Mossad. They have something that rivals our CIA.
That's Well, we're even watching that stuff.
Yes, and it's one of those things where, well, I mean, how convenient is it that we just gave $6 billion to Iran to release?
They didn't touch a dollar of that money. It's still in the bank account.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been giving them enough money other than before
what cracks me
that
up
was just the proof of payment. It was the same thing that happened with Pergovovich. We need the money to clear before we go.
Though. Like, you can't say, well, they didn't spend any of the $6 billion here.
Yeah.
It's still in the account.
Yeah.
Well, no shit, because they got money in this account. Now that they know this money is going to be replenished, they can spend this money and replenish it with this money.
Yeah.
And say, all right, well, instead of spending this money on helping the people with food, water, and whatever, we're going to spend this on terrorist activities. Then we're going to spend this on taking care of the people.
Well, and it gets even worse because Israel is liquidating $30 billion in foreign assets.
Yeah, I see you saying that.
Whose foreign assets do you think they're liquidating? I mean, it's most likely U.S. dollars, like everybody else is liquidating. They're all getting rid of the U.S. dollars. If you look at the financial news and the things going on, not necessarily behind the scenes, but it's just that we have distractions like an Israeli war to keep us from focusing on what's going on with currency behind the scenes. Where, I mean, it's getting to be crazy. Well, and speaking of crazy and currency, the U.S. debt clock is now something to at least keep an eye on a Sunday night between 9 and midnight because they're giving revelation messages on a consistent weekly basis at this point. This week's was Revelation 110 about the trumpet sounding. And they then a couple days later went and posted an image that showed the silver ratio and how that's fallen off in years. And so I believe they're trying to educate people for whatever's coming. I'm not sure. Like I said, the currency system as it is doesn't make any sense to me because it's a convoluted mess. It shouldn't be the fiat. That is very clear to anybody with 2 cents to put together. But I mean, what's coming next? It seems like we're going back to your solid physical based commodities. I mean,
I gotta go back to this flag thing because it actually pisses me off.
Okay,
there should be no flags flying in that. No flags in that office anywhere.
Well, we have a problem in general.
Except the American flag.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't care if it's an Israeli. It shouldn't be any flags in that place except you're not. She's the first Palestinian American congresswoman. No, you're either an American or you're not.
And our forefathers definitely said something about that.
Yeah, that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, and I mean, even Roosevelt had made a clear statement that we will take anybody from anywhere once you come here and you're an American.
You're not
a dual citizen.
Exactly.
But it turns out we have quite a few dual citizens in our government, like in elected offices. And most of these dual citizens, it turns out they were Americans first and then chose to become a citizen of a foreign nation.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
It makes a lot of sense when you're lining your pocket.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and especially if a lot of these are, and it is what it is. It turns out that a lot of these dual citizens are dual citizens of Israel. And I mean, I found an article from 2015 that listed at that time the ones that this person was able to do the research on and track down the fact that they were. And it turns out as of within the past few years, they were trying to pass legislation to where our Congress people had to divulge that information. Our elected officials would have to make it known that they were a dual citizen, which, I mean, given the state of current events and given what we have seen the deep state do over the last few decades, I see no reason to not divulge that. I mean, if you want to be a dual citizen, then the people that are voting for you should be able to know that you have dual loyalties.
I don't think you should be able to be a dual citizen. I think you should be either American or you're not.
Right.
If you're going to run for office and make laws that we're going to have to follow, and rules or whatever the hell you want to call them, then you should be either a citizen or you're not. If you want to be half and half, then go live somewhere else. You can live in the United States, but you can't run any office. That's just complete bullshit to me.
Yeah, and it's come out that the Biden administration, he had a top official who had ties to Iran, and within under him, he had 3 dual citizens with Iran. So there was a whole Iranian spy ring that was running inside the Biden administration.
That's the other thing. If you got dual citizens, so who do you favor?
Right.
So I didn't even think of that point, but yeah, I mean, you definitely could be a spy.
Well, it is just that. I mean, I would be more inclined that people who came from a foreign country and took on American citizenship would be on the up and up more than an American citizen who went elsewhere to gain dual citizenship would be. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But I mean, it does seem more par for the course as far as just the out and out corruption it is being reported on. It is there. But when you have something as big as this now, what started out as our people were just calling a conflict, but I mean, Biden just the other night made it very clear that it is a war and that the laws of war should be followed. Well, if we're at war, if we're in war times, then I think the war criminals should be prosecuted for their war crimes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we should get the tribunals fully out there for the people to see at this point, because I mean, we have state-funded terrorism. Like, that's what this was. You can't cut it any other way. It is state-funded terrorism.
Well, what's crazy about Israel, and I didn't realize this, like, most of that land that they're on was actually Palestine's land. It's crazy.
Have you ever seen I've seen the progress.
Yes, I've seen it too. It's unbelievable. Like, they were created in 1948.
And now, if somebody did that to you,
if somebody did that here, you know what would happen?
That you'd be
doing the same shit they're doing.
Exactly.
I mean, so you know, like, that's why I always said, like, everybody hates us for a reason,
right?
You know, and if you look back, Biden stated when he was a senator that. This was early on in his career, that was the best $3 billion investment we ever made. So, I mean,
right.
So if you look at the progression of Israel, I mean, it was nothing.
No.
It was probably smaller than the Gaza Strip they're fighting over right now, and they pretty much booted them people out, took over that land.
Yeah.
Kind of like just what we did to Hawaii.
Exactly.
We rolled up, said, all right, this is ours now.
Yep.
Either deal with it or we'll kill you.
And so now that's like...
So, you know, you can't even, like, you can understand why these people are fighting.
Exactly.
Now, do I agree with it at this point? You know, not really, because now they're just killing women and children. But I mean, they probably seen that happen to their family.
Speaking of the women and children, I decided to, when I saw that Israel was under attack and this was going on, do a little bit of digging and just see what could be causing some issues over there from the side of good, from the side of light. Well, it turns out that Israel is a pedo haven.
Really?
Yes. It turns out that pedophiles like to go and hide out in Israel. I typed in Israel pedo haven, and Tori, I'll give you the screenshot of it, of your YouTube search results. the top 3 videos that came up were from over 5 years ago. Each one was, 2 of them were about Americans going to Israel to evade being tried for pedophile shit, and one was an Australian who was doing the same shit. So, I mean, at this point, you know, whenever it turns out that there's some fucky shit going on, you should probably just look in that direction and you'll find out what's really going on. So it does seem like this attack, this war, this whatever the fuck you want to call it, to me, it looks like it is one of the last moves that the deep state has while it is fighting its death. Like it's an animal being killed, but it's still going to rile out in death throes where you're still going to have chaos coming from it. You're still going to have these things happening. But as they're being backed into a corner more, it's going to get more violent. And speaking of the same time that Israel was being attacked, the people of Afghanistan were being rocked and devastated by multiple earthquakes. And it's being basically swept under the rug. Thousands of people hurt and killed by these earthquakes. And I just want to take a step back and remember that a few months ago at the UFO conference, we had a guy who was down in Antarctica doing work on something that was a earthquake-making machine. So the fact that Afghanistan was rocked by multiple earthquakes within a week, it's not shocking. It needs to be focused on. It needs to be looked at that this is going on, and these are the types of weapons we're dealing with in this version of World War III. You know what I mean? It is a whole different layer of warfare that we are at. I mean, even the media, the propaganda, all the bullshit that we're seeing on social media, these viral videos. I mean, a video from 4 months ago is now going viral of what looks to be military troops carrying a Biden bot off of a helicopter.
Really?
Yes.
Where is this at?
I'll send it to you. It's just a real quick clip, and they roll it back, and now it looks like, from what I was able to get of the footage, that it was grabbed at a South Korean air base.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
South Korean air base.
Yeah, and it's just grainy, like cell phone footage, and it's already been deep fried where somebody's taken it and put a layer over it and put a layer over it, and Biden's at the bottom looking around at like, what? Somebody's made it even goofier than it needs to be. But
the best is that Jeff Dunham Biden he has.
Yeah.
You ever watch him? He does the ventriloquism.
No. I mean, I saw. I mean, the Walter. Exactly.
That's Biden.
Okay.
So Biden, I was talking about that $3 billion. He said that if Israel didn't exist, we'd have to invent one to protect our interests over there.
Yeah.
So you know what that means, to protect his bank accounts from all the shit that he's going to steal.
Yeah. Distraction.
That was in 1986.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's how far back that goes with him. But yeah, what interest do we have?
Right.
Oil, heavy metals. That's all the interest we have. That's all they're worried about.
No, they're worried about them human lives.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting though. The articles about the Afghanistan earthquakes specifically mention that it seems that most of the victims were women and children.
That's probably so they could go in there with their.
Well, the Red Cross is already going.
Yeah, you know what they're doing?
They're already going in and snatching and grabbing.
No, they're loading up.
They will never not take advantage of a disaster.
They're loading up all them weapons and shit we left there, and they're driving them to Hamas. That's what they're doing.
That's supposedly those were weapons that were used.
Absolutely, they were.
The weapons that were used in this attack were supposedly connected to not just Afghanistan, but also Ukraine. And so, I mean, it begs the question, when does enough become enough? I mean, this clearly shows that they can flip a switch and make some shit happen.
Oh yeah,
those protests are they had not. It wasn't just the Palestine side of things. They also had Israeli pro-Israel protests going on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There were conflicts happening in American streets already over this conflict that hasn't even been a week old. You know, I mean, now granted, this goes back decades. It goes back to post-World War II. I mean, that's when it was carved up and given to them. I mean, it was a part of, like, I love how the Nazis from World War II were treated better than supposedly the Jewish people were, but yet here we are in 2023 and we're still dealing with repercussions of shit that was forced upon people to appease the Jewish people. You know, the Palestinians didn't ask for their land to be taken from them.
No, I mean, they straight up took all that land from them.
Yeah, and it's like we've been discussing where there's plenty of land to go around for everyone. So the fact that we're forcing people into these little pockets and forcing them to
you gotta
get
wonder
antagonistic
what's
with each
over there
other.
that they want so bad.
I think part of it, I think what they're doing is they're trying to create a false Armageddon. They're trying, they have the narrative, they have the Bible, they have the text, and now they can do things to make it seem like it's happening when it's really not, just to scare people, just to keep power, because it is one of those things where we don't need them fucking getting in our way or being in our way. I mean, if they hadn't been in our way with their bureaucracy and their bullshit, I mean, we would have been able to be light years ahead of where we are currently. They have kept us at a snail's pace of moving forward as humanity. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the way I see it, they've taken away at least 100, if not 200 years worth of human advancement because they have forced us to just focus on all the wrong things.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The stuff that they got going on.
Well, and then they need these types of distractions to keep us busy while, I mean, did you see what's going on with Biden's dog?
Oh, yeah. Well, you mean where he's biting
Commander.
everybody?
Oh, dude, he's got Politico had to do a story. It's that bad about his taste buds, and because he's got a taste for Secret Service members.
Really?
It seems that there's been over 11 attacks on Secret Service members. And so now he's been taken away from the White House. He's no longer allowed on White House grounds, finally.
Well, did you see the video of him when Biden had him by the leash?
Did you see him get kicked?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Did you see him get kicked?
I seen that, but my whole thing is...
It tracks. I mean, so now...
It does, but this guy's 80-some years old. What the fuck is he doing holding a leash on a dog that could drag him down the tarmac? I don't even get it.
That video shows right there that that's not Biden. That's not the same Biden you're telling me.
Sense.
You know,
but if he would have did that, he would have fell right over.
Exactly.
He can't even walk on a stage.
The Biden that you're showing us would not be able to even handle that dog with the way it acted. Yeah,
why would you let him do that? That doesn't even make sense.
So whoever was the Biden impersonator needs to pay for kicking that dog. I mean, look, I know you people can look the other way when it's women, when it's children, but I know you get really riled up when it's animals.
Absolutely.
And here is
That's what I said.
clear animal abuse.
Where the hell was Pete at?
Exactly. I mean, don't worry. They're coming out. I mean, this video's only... that one supposedly is within the week of when that's not that old. So it's just gaining traction and getting viral. But, I mean, it's stuff like that. Seeing how they are when the cameras aren't rolling, that's what we need to pay. Or, well, I mean, when they don't think the camera's rolling or it's going to catch them. Like, you could tell they thought that the van was enough to keep them from being seen so they could do what they did.
Did you see where that SBF wanted to pay Trump not to run for president?
Really?
Yeah,
that crypto douchebag.
Yeah. He was going to pay him $5 billion not to run.
Not to run.
Yeah, not to run for 2024.
They're so worried about it. And well, okay, so but again, like he is connected to the cabal. So I mean, even if he is looking like he is on the side of good, it is one of those things where it's all just a show to keep going in the line that we're going. I mean, it's funny that that people think that it's gonna change without us getting involved. That's just it. We've led by cult of personality for so long that no, we need to get involved. We need to be the ones to help tip the table over. Nobody's going to do it for you. There isn't going to be some white knight come riding in to save the day. We've been led to believe that by the movies and the propaganda that we've seen all the years to feel like there's going to be somebody to take care of it. So we just keep doing what we do.
Yeah,
But
just go to work and pay taxes.
exactly. But it does this this dog thing. It does seem to be causing a bit of a ruckus. But I mean, it isn't going to go anywhere. It's going to be just like everything else. It's just a distraction to keep people away.
I mean, I
from
really
what's
can't
really
tell
going on.
if he tripped or if he kicked the dog, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, at first it looked like a trip, but no. I mean, if you, it's a kick. It's a hard. It's one of them ones that you can sit there and analyze it, and you can look at it in 3 different ways. But I mean, when you look at the person and what they are really like, that's totally a kick to me. If it's somebody that's operating under the personality of Biden anyway. Because I can totally see Biden to be an animal abuser.
I can't even see him having the dog. Well, you can definitely see him being an animal abuser. His temper.
Oh, yeah.
He's amazing how quick you can get him.
Oh, my God.
I say one dumb thing to him, and he can't take any of that kind of stuff. I mean, you think he'd have thicker skin.
Well, did you
But
see?
he's used to everybody doing what he wants you to do.
In his 10-minute speech about Israel, he got so hot and heated, directed at Americans, directed at domestic terrorism. Like, the shit he is saying is ridiculous. And now, just as a heads up for people, supposedly they have credible sources that there could possibly be some events that happen on Friday and Saturday of this week. It's just something, because they're saying it, that, hey, keep your eyes and ears open. And if you're going anywhere where there's crowds of people, be aware of where you are. If you're going to cities, I would suggest steering clear of big cities, and those in major cities, just, hunker down and be prepared for protests against this war that's currently going on over in Israel.
Well, they said
it's
that
going to happen.
I guess they said the Muslims are telling everybody to rise up tomorrow all across the world.
Yeah, supposedly. I'm old school. I'm back in the days where they had to show us Bin Laden in a cave spouting off in Arabic with the English subtitles to at least give me some kind of credibility that somebody was saying, hey, attack on this or attack there or do this or do that. But here we've got, I think it was a tweet or some bullshit. I haven't even seen the actual leader of Hamas that they're trying to say is the one calling for this shit. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like we're missing a bunch of optics that should go with the push in the direction that they're trying to get us to go. I mean, it's funny how easy it is to have zero information and zero shit to show for it, and yet they can get everybody out in the streets and at each other's throats.
Well, that's because they've been perfecting that for over 100 years,
and that is very clear with how quick this one happened.
Yeah, I mean they've been perfecting the hell out of that. It's amazing how many people this time, like you could tell, our country's going in a totally different direction, because there's how many people that are outright speaking out about backing Palestine.
Yeah.
And, it's costing a lot of people their jobs.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I don't see how you could back them at any point with the way that they attacked. It wasn't Palestine, it was the Hamas, but
right. And well, it wasn't
they're allowing them to be there.
Yeah, and it wasn't even them. And it was CIA and Mossad trained agents. Like, we train the best terrorists in the world.
Oh, we arm them the best also.
Bin Laden,
the best weapons.
Osama bin Laden was a CIA trained asset. There are documented files that he was trained by the CIA.
Well, we're doing the same thing with his kids. We had them over here. They were in Harvard. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We're teaching them how to, everything, what to do.
The Bin Ladens and the Bushes are like this.
Oh, well,
they grew up together.
They were together, weren't they?
Yes.
One of them was...
They had property that basically touched.
Well, one of them was with one of the Bush family or something when that all went down.
Yeah. It's bizarre that they were able to create a false narrative and push it that hard that we're able to find out years later that they were that well connected.
It's crazy,
that they were that embedded with each other, and nobody realizes that, okay, if it was going on back then, it is going on in real time right now.
Don't you think it's weird too? Like when we took out Bin Laden, we dumped him in the deepest part of the ocean. It's almost like,
oh, they did the American people a favor.
Yeah, they did us a favor.
Such a favor.
What I loved about it is that the way they
well, and I love the fact that they were able to take out the entire SEAL team that was the ones who did it.
Well, what's amazing too is, why did we do that? Their explanation was because, well, that's how the Muslims take care of their dead. It's like,
why would we care?
Why do we give a shit? Exactly. Why do we care?
Why would we put the person who supposedly was the cause of immense American innocent lives lost?
And we cared so much that we're going to give him a proper burial.
Right. No. No. He would have been dragged.
Exactly.
He would have been dragged from the helicopter, low hanging to where he could have clipped the fucking ground the whole way. Yeah. They would have been barely recognizable when they brought him to New York, and they brought him from New York all the way across on a caravan.
Listen, we don't even know if the guy's dead.
I doubt he died.
He's probably sitting in Bush's guest room.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see that thing with there was a video out on TikTok where they said they seen Epstein?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that one.
That one. Yeah. It was hard to see on the video, so I was like, I don't know, bullshit or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is one of those things.
But the only reason you're putting him out there in the ocean is because nobody could ever find him to verify whether the guy's dead or not.
So it's a story, it's a narrative.
Exactly.
It's
and then, like you said,
closed,
they killed off the SEAL team that supposedly took him out. So
in a helicopter accident.
Exactly.
The best of the best of the best. And you're going to tell me it was a helicopter accident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
too many of our actual troops who are constitutional backing American red-blooded have died in combat accidents.
Look at Benghazi
and training incidents.
They were hoping they would die.
Exactly.
If it wouldn't have been for the Benghazi military or whoever, those fighters were, the rebels that were on our side, those guys would have been dead.
Yeah.
I mean, they were hoping they would die. That's why that whole thing was to bury that.
Yeah.
They do the same, they don't want anybody telling their stories. That makes them look bad.
And that's just it. Because the second anybody can talk who is boots on the ground in the area when shit's going down, they will break apart every narrative they come up with.
If those paid officers were if those not paid officers, if those paid, you might as well call them mercenaries.
Yeah.
But if they wouldn't have been over there,
yeah,
that whole embassy, they'd all be dead.
Yeah.
Not just Christopher Wray, all of them would have been dead.
Yeah.
And every single one that worked there, they would have been killed off. But these guys didn't have to listen to the military leaders because they weren't their bosses.
Right. And that's what's coming to American streets is chaos like Benghazi. I mean, we had how many? We're up to, I think, over 100,000 getaways. I love the term getaway. You let them. You gave them a card and told them where to go and where to wait for you to give them the next instructions. Those aren't getaways. Those are your paid mercenary army that you're going to try and do some fucked up shit in this country. And guess what? You're going to find out. Like, it ain't going to go the way you think. I mean, it's the American people. It never goes the way they think. I mean, it always ends up blowing up in their faces. And it's one of those things where it never actually affects them. And that's why they keep doing it. Like, it's...
Well, no, exactly. I seen a good quote the other day. All war is young people that don't know each other, killing each other for no reason at all, while the old people sit at the top and are untouched.
Yeah.
And benefit from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah.
You send these kids right out of high school, you give them, 9 weeks, 18 weeks of training, whatever they're doing with them. And the next thing you know, you're in a war-torn country.
Well, and most of that training is just to traumatize them in the right way to get them malleable. Like, because, I mean, if you look at the way boot camp runs, I mean, it is just to fuck up the head enough to get them to where they'll just fall in line and be a good little soldier. I mean, and yeah, okay, that's what you need for an army. But at the same time, I mean, like, it is where the rank and file following just orders is gonna stop for them. It's gonna turn on them at some point. I mean, I think that with what's going on over in Israel and the major push, I mean, so let me get this straight. From one week to another, we went from Ukraine to Israel.
Yep.
And nobody is, I shouldn't say that nobody's batting an eye. I think that this one really woke up a lot of people to just how fucking bullshit everything is. Because, I mean, you've got the Ukrainian president, fucking Zelensky. He finally decided to change his shirt.
Yeah,
he went and got rid of his
You were
fucking...
saying about that.
Yeah. He got rid of that military fatigues and now he's wearing a black Ukraine. It still has to say Ukraine. You got to look at this guy and think Ukraine, but it's just a simple Ukraine across the chest, and he stands in support of Israel. Okay. You know what? Any Nazi standing in support of the Jews, I don't really think that anybody understands the optics of all this.
Yeah, I don't even know if they know what's going on. That's definitely nuts,
right? And it is. It's one of those things where the bullshit is just getting bullshittier by the minute. And I'll say this: that as far as the Israel of it goes, the Q drops. The only Q drop that I really found intriguing enough to bring up for this one is that they say that Israel will be saved for last for a very specific reason, and I kind of think we're seeing that play out.
What's crazy too is now then you got the idiots in the House fighting over the speakership.
Exactly.
I mean, it's completely. I mean, what the hell are these guys doing? They're not going to get anything done.
They had Jim Jordan.
Yeah,
he seemed like a great pick, a great fit. I mean, I don't think that anybody really would have questioned just putting him there and getting him in. I mean, it would have been a better choice than Trump, because at least Trump, I get where Trump causes so much of a stir between everybody. They should have just
left it the fuck alone.
Well, we need somebody there.
Well, because I know that, but they should have left who was there. I mean,
no.
Well, dude. No. Whoever you get now, whoever's in there now, it ain't any better.
Well, they seem to be going with Scalise.
No, they just said he's not getting through.
No, he's not. Well, that's good.
He doesn't have the support.
Well, good, because I mean,
he had the support in the.
We don't need another fucking KKK member in a fucking position like that.
I mean,
the first thing I found when I typed in Scalise controversy was a fucking thing that he spoke. He was the fucking lead speaker at a KKK thing, and
he probably didn't know what it was.
That's what he claimed.
Yeah, he probably thought it was like a Circle K meeting or some shit.
The Duke, what the fuck, David Duke?
Yeah.
He claimed that he was just like David Duke without all the baggage.
Really?
He was proud to compare himself to David Duke. So you can go like. He can say he didn't know what the fuck it was all he wants. He's a fucking bullshit liar.
Yeah. Well, like I said, though, that I don't think they're going to get anybody in there. So what the hell are we going to do?
Well, I mean, we need somebody there to be able to get rid of the two at the top that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, well, who the hell's going to be in there, though? I mean, they can't even agree on anything. So this guy, the Scalise, was ahead.
Yeah.
You know, with the internal vote.
Right.
But then a bunch of the people said there ain't no way in hell they're going to vote for him, and he can only lose four of them, I think. And there's like 12 of them that said they're not voting for him.
Well, and it's kind of telling that they're doing this all behind scenes, like
exactly
behind closed doors.
Yeah,
they've had no problem.
What's the big secret?
Yeah,
get out in the open. I mean, what the hell? You always want to whine when the Democrats do shit behind closed doors. You're doing the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you guys created this issue, and who's going to fix it?
Right, and that's just it. It is. Well, I think. The ones who wanted Trump in, I think, expected to just get McCarthy out and put Trump there. And they didn't think a step or two ahead where, well, what happens if we get a bit of a roadblock with that?
Exactly.
We need a backup plan.
I mean, you had to know that was coming. You had to be an idiot if you don't know that was coming.
They literally used the FBI to create January 6th to try and create a false flag event to get rid of Trump. I mean, and that's come out where there is more and more of a building case that the FBI were the ones that were actually behind January 6th.
Listen, the FBI used to be an organization that was, you know,
Well, they were always created to be a mafia type group.
Yeah, but
it was what it was.
They had some
integrity.
Yeah, integrity.
Yeah,
and now they're just shit.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
they might as well just get rid of them because nobody trusts them at all.
Yeah,
and why would you?
Right.
They lied about so much shit. I mean, you'd be a fool to believe anything they tell you.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been used by administrations to actively go against the justice system, to actively impede what this country was founded on. I mean, if people can't look at, I get all the good stories we're told and whatnot that are put out there, but if you can't look at the actual facts of the past, I'd say century, and see where a majority of those who have either gotten into power or are still currently in power have on some level committed treasonous acts against the American people, all while telling you, go to work and pay us your damn taxes.
Exactly.
And it's bizarre to see people just sit there and take it. Because to me, it goes against what the American spirit actually is.
Yeah.
To me, I guess it's probably from all the chemicals and shit that they pumped into the foods. I mean, did you see about like all the foods? The list of ingredients on American-made products versus the same product in another country is bizarre to look at.
The shit that they put in our bodies, it's without us knowing it.
Yeah.
I mean, not even that. I just read a thing yesterday about the FDA is going after these drug companies because the pain management medicine,
it
has a bunch of shit in it that's not supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
That they have it filled with.
Yeah.
Which is completely ridiculous because these people are relying on this medicine. And then no wonder they're getting all these funky side effects.
I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. The people on the actual prescription medications, if shit hits the fan and things go sideways, those are the people that scare me the most, because those are the people that are not going to be able to function or handle not having their steady flow of narcotics.
Oh, exactly.
Your average crackhead, your average meth head, they've already tweaked out. They've already gone through withdrawal. They'll be okay.
They'll be fine.
Yeah. But your like normal people who are on prescription drugs, if something breaks that supply chain, it's going to get bad.
Well, the bad part is we're getting most of that shit from China.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Well, I mean, it's not even the shit from over there that we're getting from them. They're also coming over here, going down to Mexico, creating fentanyl factories down in Mexico, and then having the Mexican cartel bring the fentanyl across into the United States. And this is currently coming out in documented news stories.
Yeah, that Tainted medicines, it's for pain management and arthritis.
Yeah.
So they're putting that shit in the older, the most vulnerable people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's all by design. It's all the opioid epidemic. I mean, look, we went into Afghanistan and raided the biggest poppy fields in the world, and then all of a sudden we have the opioid epidemic rise in America.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and now we want to be pissed off at China for doing the same thing. Like, that's where it doesn't track for me of the storyline.
That's the American way. Do as I say, not as I do.
I get it.
I mean, come on. That's what they do all the time.
Yeah. Well, and it is. It's like them trying to have us scared over China or Russia. No. I'm more scared of what greedy and corrupt politicians are doing to this country than anything. Not that I'm scared of what they're doing, because it's very clear and easy to see. It doesn't wholeheartedly affect me on my daily life, but I can see where if the money was distributed better and to better people, we would all be living better.
Yeah.
But if we keep going in the same way that we are and expect a different outcome, I mean,
oh yeah, we're dreaming.
Yeah. I mean, well, I like how George Carlin said it best. To believe in the American dream, you have to be asleep.
That's well said.
Come on, man. It's a state of stupidity.
It's a state of stupidity.
Tainted stupidity.
That's just a state of stupidity.
State of stupidity.
I believe it's a state of stupidity.
They want you to believe it's a state of stupidity.
I told him, I said it's a state of stupidity.